All right. Going to go live in just a few moments here. Want to wait and see if we get any audience members in before we go. Going to try to keep the show short tonight. I want to go. First time going live in a while. So just trying to get back into the feel of things. So we'll give it a minute. Then we'll get started. A lot of news actually to cover. I might not even go through all of it. Hey, we got someone in there. Be getting ready to go in just a moment. Just give me a few more seconds. It looks like we're ready. All right. Welcome back to WMAC Now with your host, Chuck Stevenson. And welcome to episode, I believe it's 144 of the WMA Report show, where we're going to go over pretty much everything that's going on in the women's divisions of mixed martial arts. Tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about past week and a half, almost 2 weeks, all kinds of clickbait to do with Ronda Rousey. And I'm telling you, it is pure clickbait. Pure clickbait based off of one thing said by one person, and because it has been a slow couple of weeks in MMA news, everybody ran with it, and it just blew up to the point where non-MMA sites were starting to talk about Ronda Rousey again for the first time in forever. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, but we got to start where we always start, with last week's fights. The only thing that was really going on last week was UFC. It was fight night, Strickland versus whoever. Anyway, we had 3 ladies bouts. First up, second fight of the night. This was the only fight I was truly looking forward to. Anyway, Luana Carolina defeated Ivana Petrovic via unanimous decision. This was not a good fight, y'all. This was not a good fight. Petrovic, I don't know if it was octagon jitters or what, but she did not look good in this fight. Carolina didn't look good either because she's not a good fighter. I've definitely seen Petrovic perform better than she did. It's just she could not. She made a lot of mistakes. Kept going for a lot of trip takedowns or throws, and I've seen her perform better takedowns than that. Kept going for leg locks after leg lock. Listen, any fighters that happen to watch this on replay later on, stop going for low probability submission after low probability submission after low probability submission. That's all Petrovic kept going for. It's like, oh, I'm in guard. Let me roll back for a leg lock. How about pass guard and go for a higher probability submission, like a rear naked choke or, I don't know, anything other than a leg lock? It's dumb. Like I said, she's a better fighter than this. I thought she was. Maybe she is. Maybe she had a bad night in those octagon jitters. I was not impressed with Luana Carolina. I was really more disappointed with Ivana Petrovic. And, I hate to say that I was right, but I reviewed her last fight. And after that fight, she said that she wanted to go to the UFC. She thought she was ready. My personal opinion was that she should take a couple more fights in the regional scene first. Get that experience in. Get that cage experience up. Get that fight IQ up. Everything. Develop more. She only had 6 fights at the time. I really don't think anybody should be going into the UFC flyweight or strawweight division with less than minimum 8 fights. And that's bare minimum. Okay. These divisions are getting too good for you to be going in there totally unexperienced or inexperienced. You just can't do it anymore. Petrovich did not take kindly to that. She said, I will prove you wrong. Listen, I was hoping that she would prove me wrong. I wanted her to prove me wrong. Unfortunately, I was proven right. Maybe she'll perform better, but who are you going to fight next time if you can't beat Luana Carolina, who's one of the worst fighters in the UFC right now? Unfortunately, Juliana Miller has a fight booked already, so because she's up there too. How you doing, Judy V? Up at, well, I guess this is contested at featherweight or catchweight or whatever. Carol Hosa defeated Yana Santos. Yana looks like crap. She hasn't looked good since she came back from having her second kid. She just hasn't. I don't know what's going on, but she just has not looked good since coming back from having that second kid. It's like, and Hosa came in on short notice too. That's why this fight was moved up in weight. So I don't know what's going on with Yana, but she really needs to make some adjustments. I mean, what was she coming into this? How many fights did she have come? Like, let me see. So that makes 3 straight losses for Santos, for Yana, although the first loss was all the way back in 2021. Yeah, she fought in March and now she fought in July. So she lost 2 times in a span of 4 or 5 months. That's not a, not a good look. Needs to make some serious adjustments. And then finally, at flyweight, on the main card, Ariane Lipski defeated Melissa Gatto via split decision. This fight was not particularly good, just like the other two. Lipski squeaked out a win here, and I believe this is 2 straight losses now for Melissa Gatto. Yeah, 2 straight losses. Lost to Tracy Cortez last year in May. Hadn't fought since then, and then lost a split decision to Ariane Lipski. Melissa Gatto's another one of those fighters. Like, yo, she was looking good up until she fought Cortez, and now it's not looking great. Then again, I would say that she has stepped up her competition a little bit in her last 2 fights. So we'll see. But yeah, not a good look for Melissa Gatto either. Lipski is actually starting to get better, it seems like. I mean, she's 3-3 in her last 6 fights, but still, out of her last 4, she's won 3 of them. Beat Mandy Boom, lost Priscilla Cachoeira because she was dumb in that fight. Beat JJ Aldrich, and now Melissa Gatto. So, I mean, hey, she's doing what she needs to stay in the UFC, that's for sure. But that is it for the fights for this past weekend. Why don't I have a banner for this one? Let's get into the news. All right, so I'm going to try to speed read through some of these. Most of these are multiple fight announcements for the same event. Let's see. All right, first up, UFC 292 goes down August 19th in Boston. Added 2 fights so far for that one. First up is a flyweight bout, Marina Moroz taking on Karine Silva. This is actually going to be a rematch years ago. Marina Moroz defeated Karine Silva on the regional scene. I have a suspicion. What the freak is going on with this right now? I would not be surprised if Marina Moroz drops out of this fight before it goes down. Would not be surprised at all. Just the way that her career has been going the last few years compared to Silva's. And then also on that card, a flyweight bout, Andrea Lee and Natalia Silva. If you can't, if you haven't noticed it before now, it should now be obvious what type of matchmaking they're giving Natalia Silva. They're giving her the slowest moving fighters they can find. And Andrea Lee's one of them. She's a slow mover, bit plodding. And that's the type of people they're feeding Silva. They're going to give her the fast track because I believe Andrea Lee is in the top 10 right now. So they're skipping over the entire 11 to 15 ranks, giving her a top 10 fighter. Yeah. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Andrea Lee's down to 13. So they're moving her right into there, into the top 15. So I was a little wrong on that one. But yeah, probably early pick would be Natalia Silva on that one. What else? Let's see. Already talked about that before. UFC Fight Night, September 2nd in Paris. Added several bouts to that one. First up is a bantamweight bout. Jocelyn Edwards taking on newcomer Nora Connolly. Nora Connolly has been on the UAE Warriors promotion. Pretty good prospect here. She's one of like 4 or 5 fighters that they added recently to the bantamweight roster, which, you know what, that talk about a division that needed new blood. Finally, the bantamweight division is getting some new blood. And Connolly is 6-1. She lost her pro debut back in July of 2021, and she has been on a tear ever since. 100% finish rate. One submission or no? Yeah, one submission, and the rest are TKOs. Her last bout, her opponent lost due to a leg injury. Interesting. So yeah, I'll keep an eye out on that one. Then also on that same night, bantamweight bout, Zara Farron taking on Haley Cowan. We'll see if Haley Cowan can bounce back from a loss in her debut, because she's one of those newer bantamweights as well. Although she was signed like last year, like early last year. And then also on that card, this is the weirdest one, and this was the most surprising, a flyweight bout. Manon Fiorot taking on Rose Namajunas. So Namajunas moving up to the flyweight division. That's going to be interesting, to say the least. I would say Rose will definitely have the speed on Manon. Manon probably has more power. But if you would ask me, like, who's the better overall fighter, I would say Namajunas. But will that transfer to flyweight necessarily? We'll see. I mean, she has been bulking up and getting bigger. I mean, I think Rose is pushing, she's got to be getting close to 30 years old right by now. Let's see. Yeah, she's 31. So, I mean, it makes sense for her to finally like consider moving up in weight. I mean, eventually you're going to put on weight and move up. So we'll see. And what else? UFC has a fight night going down September 16th in Vegas. First up, added a flyweight bout, Tracy Cortez taking on Jasmine Jasdavicius. So that's 2 people at the bottom of the flyweight rankings. Cortez at 14, Jasmine at 15. And Jasmine coming off of that win over Miranda Maverick which was a little bit of an upset, I would say. I mean, I didn't pick her to win that one. That should be a good one. I'm not fully sold on Cortez like some people are, so we'll see. But I'm not sold on Jazz the Vicious necessarily in the UFC. Although I'm definitely more sold on her now that she beat Maverick than I was before. So we'll see. But I'm going to have to watch some tape before that one goes down. So that's in September. But the main event on that one, the rematch, Flyweight Championship, Alexa Grasso taking on Valentina Shevchenko. Cannot wait for that one. That one is definitely the fight to be looking forward to. Can Grasso pull it off again? Beat a fighter that so many were calling unbeatable again? We'll see. Some people are calling it a fluke. I don't think you can call it a fluke when there's evidence, when she straight up planned for it. It's hard to call something a fluke when you know a fighter specifically planned for that. And to say, oh, she just made a mistake. Valentina just made a mistake. She throws that same kick every fight. It's literally a part of her. It's like routine for her to throw that kick. So to say, oh, well, she made a mistake throwing that. Yeah, she made a mistake throwing it. But to say that, oh, she just made a mistake in that fight, it's like, no, she knew what she was doing. I'll tell you what will be really interesting about going into that fight is going to be Shevchenko's mentality. I'm probably going to talk about that in a future stream. Her mentality going into this rematch. I think she's losing it personally. What else we have on there? Oh, UFC Fight Night, August 5th in Nashville. Verna Jandiroba is out of her fight with Tatiana Suarez. Jessica Andrade stepping in. That's going to be a good bout. That's going to be exciting. Andrade versus Suarez. Hope Andrade has her head in the game and preps right for it, because she has not been looking good lately. Then August 26th, the UFC has a fight night in Singapore. Aaron Blanchfield taking on Tyler Santos. That's going to be a good one at the top of the flyweight division to decide a contender. And then a strawweight, Na Lian taking on also at flyweight. Na Lian moving back up to flyweight where she fought before the UFC. She's taking on JJ Aldrich. Not going to be a super technical bout, but that should be a fun one. That should be a scrap. What else? Oh, LFA 164 goes down August 4th in El Paso, Texas. Going to be on UFC Fight Pass. They have the vacant flyweight title bout. Sabina Mazo, UFC vet Sabina Mazo, returning to LFA, where she got picked up from. She got picked up from LFA. Coming in with a record of 9-4, taking on Sandra Lovato, coming in at 12-4. You might remember Sandra Lovato fought on Dana White Contender Series, lost to Carolina. Little Polish girl, Carolina Wojcik. And Wojcik didn't get picked up at the time. And I think Lovato fought once since then. What else we got? That's interesting. Oh, Dana White Contender Series, September 26th. Shavkat Rakhmonov's sister, Sora Rakhmonova, I believe she is undefeated currently, is going to be taking on Ernesta Karakate, coming in at 4-0-1. I'll be honest, I wouldn't pick up either of those fighters if they win, just not experienced enough. But from the clips I've seen of Sora Rakhmonova, she looks like she is going to be good. So definitely keep an eye on that. Let's see. PFL, August 4th, has a pair of flyweight bouts. Desiree Yanez taking on Lisa Malden. Desiree Yanez, always a fun fight to watch. She's a scrapper. And then Chelsea Hackett taking on Kai Bennett. That should be a fun one. But I'll tell you what, if Hackett gets taken down by Bennett, she's in for a short night. We saw Kai Bennett fight back in May for Invicta. I was there for that one, and Bennett put a whooping on her opponent. And we know that we've seen Chelsea Hackett on the Dana White Contender Series doesn't do too good on the ground if she gets taken down. If Kai Bennett gets her down, she is getting beat up. And then let me see. That's pretty much it for the news. I mean, nothing else major. A couple fighters have announced fights, but not opponents. So I won't go into those. So that's it for the news. We got a bunch of chats. No Filter MMA in the house. How you doing, BJ? If you haven't yet, if you're not subscribed to him, go check out No Filter MMA. Give him a listen and give him a sub. What is up with Geron Kim? Yeah, I was checking out her Instagram earlier. Geron Kim is still talking mad trash on Mandy Boom. I don't think she's running her social media right now because she doesn't speak English that well. Certainly not well enough to type out all of that. So I don't think she's the one running her social media. But yeah, she's still not happy with Mandy Boom. So we're going to put a whooping on Lee. Rose better be ready to grapple going 125, but if Rose is accuracy on with her punches, she will frustrate Manoni. I agree. If there's one thing that we can say about Rose, she is accurate with her strikes. Okay, so you're not sold on Tracy either. Yeah, I agree. And still for Alexa Grasso, Judy says there's been debates on Val versus Alexa, some calling it a fluke. Yeah, there's a debate going on in my comments section, which is nice to see. Sister looks like she means business. Yeah, Sora Rachmanova. She's if you go to the WMMA subreddit, r/WMMA, there's some clips of her. Like I think there might actually be some full fight videos of her too. Like she looks like she could be the real deal, but we'll see. So let's talk about this weekend's fights. Put up another banner here real quick. All right, so UFC 290 goes down Saturday night. Only one ladies bout on the card, and it's on the prelims. Yep, it's in the middle of the prelims. Strawweight bout, Yasmin Howagi taking on Denise Gomes. I'm always down to watch Yasmin Howagi fight, so I'm excited for this one. Looking at the stats, let's see here. Howagi coming in at 10-0, Gomes coming in at 7-2. Of course, Howagi undefeated so far in the UFC as well as overall. Last fought 6 months ago, finished Estela Nunes. Gomes coming in off of a win 2 months ago over Bruna Brazil. That was a nice finish too. Very impressive. Before that, lost to Loma Lukbunmi. See, Hawagi's elder, 24-23. Most of the stats are pretty much identical. I'm taking Yasmin Howagi to win this one. Gomes has some nice wins on her. She definitely got some power to her as well. I mean, she has some finishes at flyweight. including UFC veteran Milana Dudaeva back in March of last year. Yeah, she's actually fought most of her fights at flyweight. She has a win over the current UFC or Invicta atomweight champ as well. I just like what I see more from Howargi than what I've seen from Gomes. And it's not that Gomes doesn't have some good wins, but it's like the most impressive thing I've seen from her is that finish over Dudaeva. She was losing that fight, and then Milana Dudaeva came out in the third round just absolutely exhausted from trying to go for the finish in the previous two rounds. And it's like she had like no punch resistance left. She was gasping for air, and Gomes got that finish. And it's like, yeah, it looked good, but at the same time, it's like, wasn't that good? And then the finish against Bruna Brazil just in that fight, Brazil's chin was more open than Amanda Hebos's. I mean, in a contest between who could stick their chin out more, Bruna Brazil or Amanda Hebos, that night, Bruna Brazil would have won. So Howargi is just much more put together as a fighter. She's a good wrestler. I think her ground skills are very underrated because she mostly stays on the feet, but her boxing is clean and crisp. She throws good combinations, has good footwork. Got to go with Howargi. I mean, everything I've seen from her has been more impressive than what Gomes has done. I mean, I've been high on Howargi ever since I saw her beat three women in one night, finishing two of them off in the first round, including Claire Lopez, who I'm also high on. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Yasmin Howargi to win this one. Then Combate Global is also on Saturday night. I don't know. I wouldn't choose to be on Saturday night on the same night as a UFC pay-per-view, but they don't choose that. The network chooses that for them because there's a soccer game on right before all of their events. They have 3 ladies bouts. I'm going to talk about 2 of them. First up is Maria Paz Silva taking on Andrea Meneses. Meneses on the right there. I know nothing about Maria Paz Silva other than she's making her pro debut and she's from Chile. Meneses coming in at 4-1. She's coming on off of her first loss 8 months ago to Daniela Hernandez. She's 26 years old, stands 5 feet 3 inches, 160 centimeters. I want to pick Meneses, but I mean, this is one of those matches that looks like it's a setup or looks like it's a like a tune-up fight, but that's also a perfect opportunity for Maria Paz Silva to play spoiler. So you never know. Never know. I mean, my pick is Meneses, but old Maria Silva over here could easily play spoiler. But this is the bout I'm most excited. Oh, by the way, this fight is in the atomweight division, but also in the atomweight division in the co-main event. This is the fight I'm most looking forward to for Combate, and this is up there for me with Howargi versus Gomes. But we have Jade Geron taking on Katie Perez. Geron coming in at 3-2. Perez coming in at 4-4. Geron riding a 3-fight winning streak. Lost her first 2 bouts via submission, but then has rattled off 3 straight divisions. Last fought back in May against Irene Cabello. Perez coming in off of a win a little over a month ago against Stephanie Iruzzo. Before that, had 2 straight decision losses. Perez is the elder fighter, 30-22. Height is roughly the same and reach is roughly the same. So I made a video about this earlier, and if you want to go check that out later, please do so. Breaking down this fight a little more. This is a toss-up. To me, this fight comes down to who implements the better game plan and who can keep the fight, get the fight where they want it and keep it there. For Geron, the fight starts where she wants it. She's a very good kickboxer. So, of course, the fight starts standing. That's where she wants to be. But then it becomes, can she keep it there? Because Perez, 3 out of her 4 wins are by submission. 4th win is by ground and pound. So we know where she wants to get this fight. And Geron, both of her losses were by submission. So if Perez can get it down to the ground, might be an easy night for her and a bad night for Geron. But if Geron can keep it standing, Perez is in for hurting. I mean, it's not that she can't strike, but her striking is not on the same level as Jade Geron. One thing I forgot to mention in the video, though, is that because Geron has to constantly be thinking about the takedown, that could help Perez. Because if Geron is constantly worried about the takedown, her striking might not be as effective. But I think it's a toss-up. Either way, I'm going to be happy. I like both of these fighters. Perez with a win here will get her record, right side up. She's dead even right now, batting 500. If Geron wins, she takes her record further away from that 500 mark, and but a loss will put her right back there. So that is it for the weekend preview. Not a whole lot going on this week. I mean, there are some other fights going on this weekend, but nothing that I saw that was like really worth breaking down. Like LFA has an interim strawweight title bout tomorrow, but it's 2 fighters. I don't know them. I don't know why it's an interim title. I don't think there's anything wrong with their champion. Other than she's on her honeymoon, but it just seemed like a pointless title fight to me. So I don't know what's going on with that. What else? That's really it as far as like important bouts or noteworthy bouts go. So wanted to talk about Ronda Rousey, or more to the end of why is everybody talking about Ronda Rousey for the past week and a half, 2 weeks? It seems like everybody was jumping on the possible Ronda Rousey return. And once a few people started talking about it, everybody started talking about it. Every MMA media outlet was talking about Ronda Rousey all of a sudden. Well, where did it start? It all started with John Anik, UFC commentator John Anik. He made one comment on, I want to say it was after Amanda Nunes retired, like right after she retired. He made a comment, and I'm not sure when it was. I'm not sure if it was on a UFC broadcast. Maybe it was on his podcast, Anik and Florian podcast. I'm not sure exactly when he made it. But all he did was say, and it was an offhand comment, by the way, too. Like, it wasn't even like something he brought up to go into more. But he made an offhand comment like, if Ronda Rousey wanted to return, now would be the perfect time to do it. And then suddenly there's like a landslide of all these MMA media outlets and even non-MMA media talking about, oh, could Ronda Rousey possibly return? It got so bad too, people were saying Ronda Rousey might be set to return. Or is Ronda Rousey set to return? And it's like, really? Is this where we're going? Is this really where the media wants to go now? that one offhand comment just starts an avalanche of absolute BS. I'll straight up say it, absolute bullshit and clickbait. Are you all that desperate for clicks that you're going to make crap up now and rely on that when any little bit of thought into this will tell you that's not true? It was clickbait. It was all clickbait. Anything you've seen in the last week and a half to 2 weeks about Ronda Rousey that didn't have to do with the WWE was pure clickbait. That's all it was. John Anik made one offhand comment that, hey, if she ever thought about returning, now would be the good time. Now would be the time to do it. And everybody just ran away with that. And it just, like the avalanching snowball, where snowball starts rolling downhill. Next thing you know, it's, the size of the boulder from Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. And then just causes a full mountainous avalanche. It was all BS. It was all clickbait. It was all crap. None of it was real. She's not coming back. Let me repeat this. Ronda Rousey is not coming back to mixed martial arts. She's not. She's just not. And everybody needs to get that into their heads. She's done. She's gone. She's not coming back. She has no reason to come back. Why is she going to risk more brain cells when she's making decent money good money, very good money in the WWE? And honestly, she might be more popular now than she was when she was in the UFC. She might not be making headlines like she was, but guess what? Even more people know her now than they did then. And she doesn't have to risk all of her brain cells every time she steps foot into the ring. Now, if she were to come back, I think she'd do okay. There's some matchups if I were to really look at the UFC bantamweight division right now, there are some winnable fights there for her. Pena is honestly a winnable fight for Ronda. Raquel Pennington, that one's iffy. Holly has not been doing as good as she used to. I'd still take Holly, though. Ketlin Vieira, that would be a rough night for Ronda. Rennie Aldana, if Aldana can stay on the feet, Ronda would have a rough night. Pannie Kianzad, that one's winnable for Ronda. Yana Santos, lately, I might take Ronda in that one. Macy Chasson, they would never match that one. Misha Tate's down there at 11. Ronda might still be able to beat Misha Tate. I think she would still beat Misha Tate. Everyone else in those rankings isn't even worth mentioning. So, yeah. Could Ronda get some wins if she came back? Yeah. But she'd still have all the faults that she had that led to 2 straight knockouts. So, is she coming back? No. It was all clickbait. It was just BS. It was one person making an offhand comment and everyone running with it because they had nothing else to talk about. That's all there is to it. That's really all I have to say about that. It was just nothing but absolute clickbait because they had nothing to talk about. Certainly, nobody in MMA media had anything to talk about in the last 2 weeks leading up to now. Now it's International Fight Week. It's a big event. UFC 290. Well, International Fight Week doesn't mean anything anymore. It actually used to mean something. Now it's a fan expo, which is basically to sell merchandise. And that's about it. Oh, and the Hall of Fame, which is just like the UFC Hall of Fame means anything. And that's it. So, yeah, it's been a slow couple weeks for the MMA media. So, the moment they had an excuse to talk about someone that they knew would drive clicks, they all ran with it. A lot of them knew exactly what they were doing. Now, some of the outside MMA media, some of the non-MMA media places probably saw the MMA media sites talking about it, Ronda Rousey, and were like, oh, maybe she's coming back, or maybe this is something to talk about. But it was mostly driven by the garbage MMA media just being desperate for clicks. And that's all it was. Just desperation. And sad, really. I mean, and it's funny because a lot of the people in the MMA media hold themselves above places like TMZ, but they're not. They're no better. All right. So that's all I really have for you tonight. Didn't want to go too long tonight. I mean, I haven't streamed live in several months now. I think May was the last time I streamed live, and that was just a quick one. So I wanted to go live for the first time. Hopefully this will drive the momentum, get back into regular streams. I might go live Saturday night for Combate. I'm not paying $80 for the UFC. I'm not in the mood for that. There's no fights I'm going to need to go back and watch, so there's no incentive for me to pay for it. I mean, it's a good fight card. I just don't feel like paying $80 for it. So I might go live for Combate Global. But if I'm not working Sunday morning, I'll go live for Combate Global. And you can drop in if you want. And if not, I'll just be talking to myself, and that's fine. But yes, a couple good fights this weekend. A lot of big fights coming up now. The first half of the year was a bit slow as far as fights go, but now we've got some big fights. I mean, we've got Shevchenko, Grasso, Shevchenko 2, Rose versus Fiorot. We have Zahn versus Lemos scheduled. That's coming up pretty soon. And got some good fights coming up soon. So definitely some stuff to look out for. End of the month, we have, what do you call it? Super Ryzen 2. Sekizawa versus Claire Lopez for the super atomweight title. Big fight for the atomweight division. Very much looking forward to that one. I'm going to be talking about that more coming up. What else? What other big fights are there coming up? Pull out my notebook again. No, it's not big. Let's see. Shudo announced their second Colors event, but they haven't really announced any fights for that one yet. So that's an all-women's MMA event. Looking forward to that one. Saori Oshima has another fight booked in September, but no opponent yet. So we'll wait and see. So we'll go ahead and cut it off there. Everyone have a good night. Let me put on my music. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't yet, please hit that thumbs up button. Forgot to ask before now, but it'll still help generate the algorithm for the stream afterwards. And thank you for tuning in to WMAC Now, the best, most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.